Now, there are increasing calls for the release of 668 acres of underutilised, strategically positioned military land to deal with Cape Town's housing crunch. According to some civic organisations, 67,000 dwellings can be erected on the military site. They say the Housing Development Agency's shortcomings have led to delays of more than 3 years. The organisations are calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to take action. To discuss this further, I am joined by Ndifuna, Ukwazi Director Kumar, and Legal Resources Centre's Anneline, Turpin. Thank you very much to the both of you for speaking to us. Adi, let me just start with you in terms of this particular land. Would it be safe land if it was owned by the military before? Would it have to be, checked first for any kind of remaining explosives, etc.? I think you've muted yourself. Can you just unmute yourself, please? There you go. No problem.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, so I think there are multiple things that need to be checked. Partially, the land has several environmental concerns besides the fact that the military owns it. There's also part of the land that's in control or has been part of a restitution process, which hasn't been resolved in the last 25 years. And there is part of the land that is actually controlled by the Craft Trust, which was donated to the military, which still needs to be resolved with the Craft Trust. So there are many variables in this particular pieces of land, and specifically the land that military needs. I guess the question that has to be asked, and the question that we asked to the presidency and to Public Works as well as to the Department of Human Settlements, do we need these 3 big parcels of land in Cape Town to be used for military? And that is really where the conversation started.
And Anneline, what do you think in terms of what can be done legally with making sure that this land is taken out of government's hands and into the private ownership of residents?
Oh, thank you for your question. Well, in terms of legally, I think the hard part has already been done in that as civil society organizations, we have been liaising with the Minister of Public Works, and they have agreed to release a portion of the land to the Department of Human Settlements. And of course, within the Department of Human Settlements, we do have the Housing Development Agency. And the Housing Development Agency, they are required to build sustainable human development. So I think the hard part of this is already done in that we have liaised with the Department of Public Works. We have received confirmation that they have released a portion of the land already. That's the Wingsfield site, particularly 32 hectares of the land for human settlements. So I think the next step, of course, is to get, communication from the Department of Human Settlements, alternatively the Housing Development Agency, just for them to liaise with civil society to inform us what the next step is. Of course, when do they intend developing this land? The land has already been leased, well, a portion of it, that is. Thank you.
What are your thoughts around the effectiveness thereof of the Housing Development Agency and even Human Settlements as a department?
Well, what we have seen as civil society.
Let's start with you, Anneline. Sorry about that. Sorry, Adi.
Okay, sure. Well, what we have seen from the Department of Human Settlements and the Housing Development Agency is that there has not been urgency in it. We, us as civil society, have wrote numerous correspondence to them, dating as far back as 2020, when we started our joint campaign. And we have not received a reply or even an acknowledgement of this campaign.
Adi, Adi, let me come to you in terms of now identifying land that was owned by the military. Does this show desperation on our part as South Africa in terms of the land that is available for housing and how important this is in terms of the human rights that we were promised and, the Freedom Charter, etc.? It looks to me as though we were promised something that government probably cannot deliver because land is mostly privately owned in South Africa. So has it become that desperate that we have to now go to areas where the military used to operate? Am I right, or am I not looking at this properly?
So I think it's a yes and no question because partially this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. The fact that there are 600 hectares of land that are underutilized when we're facing an unprecedented housing crisis where we've got, particularly in Cape Town, over 400,000 people that are on the housing waiting list and are looking for adequate housing. Plus, you can walk around the city and you can see the number of homeless encampments. Just the demand for housing is so high. And the fact that this is just such a once-off amazing opportunity to actually address close to about 20% of the crisis in Cape Town, I think that itself is a big enough opportunity. That said, it isn't just the National Department and military that owns large parcels of land. The land has been held by the province, land is being held by the city of Cape Town, land is being held by the National Department of Human Settlements itself. So I think all of these particular parcels of land have to be activated. But like Anneline said, we haven't observed the nature of urgency because, we have ratepayers and many housing agencies and others complaining about lack of delivery, people complaining about the amount of people living on the street, but the response has been abysmal. The response has to be adequate in the face of the crisis that we're facing at the moment.
And Anneline, let me just end with you with this particular question. You wrote to the presidency as civil society, including Ndifuna Ukwazi, as well as the Legal Resources Centre, to the presidency, I believe, back in 2020 about this particular project and the 67,000, people or families that would have been sorted by now in terms of housing. You say only part of it has been done. What has been the response from the presidency? Has it been too slow in terms of, actually helping out with this land that has been identified?
Thank you. So the only department that has positively responded to us or engaged with us is the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. In terms of the Department of Human Settlements and the Housing Development Agency, as I have said previously, we have not received a response, despite the success of our joint campaign as civil society. In terms of the three parcels of land, when I say parcels, I mean Youngsfield, Wingsfield, and Acer plot. In terms of that, what we have seen is that there is some objection from other departments to release all of the land, and what the Minister of Public Works has effectively released is 32 hectares, that being from the Wingsfield. However, with our meeting with the Minister of Public Works, she has provided us with a brief where she has committed to releasing 76 parcels of land, and that is she has released it to the Department of Human Settlements. So aside from our campaign for the release of military land within Cape Town, just our engagement with the Minister has proved quite successful in that she, aside from the 32 hectares of land, that being on Wingsfield, she has confirmed that to the Department of Human Settlements, she has released 76 land parcels, that being an amount of 13,185 hectares of land. And of course, as we have been saying, as you know, we've invited the Department of Human Settlements, we've invited the Housing Development Agency to engage with us. And there has been complete silence. But of course, as civil society, our objective is to, of course, hold these departments accountable.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Legal Resources Centre's Anneline Turpin, as well as Ndifuna Ukwazi Director Kumar. Thank you for your time.